So next up, we're going to check out Fat Electrician's the Olympic sniper turned Battleship commander, Willis Ching Lee. I was told a bit about him because he's the guy who took over the Boo. We watched a video about them, about the Mark 14 torpedoes, and it's so absurd. I can't believe they're not technically an enemy. Whose enemy? I don't know, but they're definitely someone's enemy. Let's find out how this guy apparently fixed the literal Three Stooges act that was government.
He's the greatest gunslinger of all time, and you've probably never even heard of him. Today we're talking about Willis Augustus Lee, aka Ching Lee. This man won 5 Olympic gold medals in a single year for shooting.
How many medals are even available in shooting? Oh God.
Then
also, I'm being told from Croc, it's not took over. He just fixed all of it. Oh, that's actually even more impressive.
To become a battleship commander and use the same principles that he learned at long-range precision shooting and applied them to the massive 16-inch guns on the USS Washington to become the most successful battleship commander ever, and he did all of it with myopia. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Wait, isn't that something with the eyes not working right? Nearsightedness, non-lack of image. So he actually was nearsighted. So the sniper battleship commander was nearsighted. Also, yeah, the volume is really low on this one. It's just the video itself. I do not know why.
But first, a word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Delete Me.
Oh, Nicholas, I thought you would never ask.
Oh, God damn. Yeah.
Is that a real MP5?
Come and find out.
Is that a threat? Or a bribe? Okay, I'm not sure which way that's going, but it's definitely doing something.
I gotta go. I'll be right back. 1 minute.
Well, that happened.
Go check them out. All of that link and discount code down below. Let's get back to the video. On today's episode of Badasses with Bad Eyesight, Ching Lee, born in a small town in Kentucky in 1888. His father was a local judge and had...
Why is he called Ching Lee? I have no idea.
A lifetime passion for shooting, a love for shooting that he would pass on to his son, Lee Jr. By the time Lee was 10 years old, he was such a good shot that he could shoot a bird in flight with his .22. Because of that, he became his small local town's pest exterminator. Anytime anybody had any rodent or any type of pest that they wanted gotten rid of, they would call the young Ching Lee and he would take care of it for them.
Huh. So the guy who apparently was an Olympic sniper trained on pest control. Okay. Sure, I guess one leads into the other pretty well.
In addition to his passion for shooting, he also thoroughly enjoyed blowing shit up for fun because, well, there's not a whole lot to do in Kentucky in the early 1900s and America. Oh! There is!
Yeah, no, this makes sense.
Poop on everything! Unfortunately,
those are all words I did not expect to have in the same sentence, and now I am very, very concerned. What was he shooting that just... You know what? Let's just not answer that question. I'm going to pull up your comment. Thank you for the distraction comment. Hey, Airier, would it be possible to watch more Lancer today? Or are you going to do stuff Lancer reactions right now? See one more Zactac Lancer covers. Honestly, definitely more Lancer stuff from Zactac. I think it's in the list. If we don't do it now, we'll do it sometime this week because we are going to be doing a lot more stuff, but we are going to be doing more. Like, this is not something I'm putting on the list because, one, it's already on the list, and two, I want to do it regardless, damn it.
For Lee, this would bring about a lifetime full of problems because one day, him and his brother decided to fill a coffee can full of black powder, have a line of black powder leading away from the can so that they could light it safely. They lit it, the fire went all the way down the line of black powder into the can, and nothing happened. So they waited, and then nothing continued to happen. So finally...
Why do I have a feeling this is going to end with, and then they walked really close and one of them lost an eye or a leg? Yeah.
Finally, Willis Lee approached the can, looked at it, got close, opened it up, and then it blew up in his face, giving him severe burns all over his face and eyes. Due to the
yeah, this is why you don't do that.
Severity of the burns.
Honestly, I thought it was going to be either lost body parts or lost head, and it's like, oh, and the funeral's here. only burns is better than I expected, but that's not good.
It was believed in the days immediately following the accident that Lee would be blind for the rest of his life. Fortunately, he would regain a significant amount of his eyesight. However, his eyes were permanently damaged and he would have to wear thick glasses for the rest of his life. So obviously the young Ching Lee was a pretty rambunctious kid, and that
unironically, that is literally the best case scenario of a worst case scenario.
translated over into the classroom as well, because he is the classic case of the kid that's so smart that school doesn't interest him or keep him stimulated, so he has a bad habit of getting off task and doing things he shouldn't be doing. Mainly, he was a prankster and a humongous smartass. For example, when he was 12 years old, he was already chewing tobacco, and the teacher would always confiscate his pouch of tobacco, walk it across the schoolhouse, and throw it into the wood-burning furnace in the corner. Finally, Lee got...
What happens when you burn chewing tobacco? Like, unironically, that sounds like something really unintended happened. I mean, I know if they threw a bunch of, like, confiscated weed in there, it would have one effect, but would that even work for chewing tobacco, or is this, like, just not something you should even burn? I do not know, because I don't smoke or chew. It just seems like it would be a bad idea in general, or a very unintended idea. It's like the Mexican disposal they videotaped, where they confiscated a cartel's entire supply of product and lit it, all of it, in a giant bonfire. I'm not going to say what happened, but there was video reporting showing people were having a really good day. I'm not even making a joke about this. You can find that footage on YouTube right now. I just don't remember what it was called.
Sick of the teacher burning up all his tobacco, so he went home, emptied tobacco out of the tobacco pouch, filled it full of black powder, and stuck that in his pocket and waited to go to school the next day.
I'm hoping he remembered that he changed it out so he didn't try and suck on it, because that would be bad as well.
Sure enough, teacher confiscates the pouch of black powder, walks it over to the furnace, throws it in, blows up the entire wood furnace. And then, in true smartass fashion, when Lee got in trouble for it, he said, "Look, this isn't my fault. You took my shit, didn't ask me what it was, and then threw it into fire. That's 100."
I mean, he's not wrong, but, yeah. Just to quote Harkin, Schrodinger's explosives are scary. And Maxart, you lost temporarily lost. Okay, temporarily is an important word there. Lost hearing one ear. Glad you got it back.
100% on you. On another occasion, the teacher had the audacity to send Lee home because his shoes weren't shined enough. So he went home, shined his shoes, stuck paper sacks over his shoes, and tied them up top with a rope. He then walked to school and refused to take the paper bags off because he didn't want his shoes to become unshined and not be within the school's dress code.
I like this kid. I really like that level of bullshit. Also, because if you're dealing with an authority that's absolutely incompetent, you just don't want to give them any leeway. Which is probably why this is the guy who fixed all the booze issues, because they are literally the example of we have authority and we're going to misuse it as much as we can.
Culmination of all these things, Lee's father realizes that he needs to get his son into the military as soon as possible, so he has some way to positively channel all of this energy, otherwise he's going to end up in jail or worse. So being that he was already a judge, he pulled some strings.
He could turn out to be president. The whore.
Gets his kid into Annapolis at the age of 16. Annapolis is where he would get his lifelong nickname of Ching. Originally, it was a different C word that's actually a racial slur. Apparently, it changed to Ching over time just because it was easier to say. Now, they didn't give him that name because he is Asian. He's a white dude from Kentucky. However, he does kind of look like he could be Asian. He wears round, thick glasses.
Am I the only one who looks at him and goes, oh, that's clean-cut Markiplier? I don't know why I'm thinking that. I don't think it looks like him either. It's just in my mind, for some reason, that's what I'm seeing. It doesn't make sense to me either, but I'm seeing it.
Last name is Lee, and he is a huge Asian history nerd. Sometimes even going as far as signing his signature in Chinese symbols. What I'm trying to tell you is if this were modern times, this dude would definitely be watching anime.
Kakarot, you've never kissed someone?
Huh? No, of course not. Why?
You're married and have children.
Yeah, duh, but what's that have to do with kissing?
Now, for his entire...
I'm sorry. I've heard that before. I thought that was someone's joke line. That's in Super. Okay. I don't know how to conceptualize that. That is all a lot of, oh God. Yep.
4 years at Annapolis, he is thoroughly unamused with coursework. He pretty much speeds through it as fast as humanly possible so he can get back to studying things that he likes and going out and shooting guns. Now, because of this, he does join the Navy shooting team, and his senior year, he gets an opportunity to go represent the Navy in a huge national competition put on by the National Rifle Association.
So he probably gets into the Olympics because he was just pissing away time while in military school. In Annapolis, of all places. Oh my God. I want to know just what the people in charge of Annapolis who would have control of this kid would think. Was like, okay, so we have to talk about the problem kid who ignores us doing amazing. This feels weird. Oh no.
Competition, there is a rifle competition and a pistol competition. Lee has been selected to participate in the rifle competition. Now, this rifle competition is a huge deal. There are 684 people there competing, and they are all qualified to be there. Regardless, Ching Lee ends up winning first place, earning the gold medal by getting a bullseye at a 1,000-yard target, and he wins the entire thing before lunch.
1,000 yards. I'm sorry, 1,000 yards as in 10 football fields. I'm not a sniper, but that sounds absurd to me. Is that absurd? Because it sounds like that's an absurd number.
Not really having anything else to do for the rest of the day, he's like, fuck it, I guess I'll go do the pistol competition now too, just for funsies. Fast forward about 80% of the way through this pistol competition.
Okay. Oh, also, I'm going to butcher your name, but I'll pull it up anyways. Hilbris Prishev Epov 1. I'm so sorry I absolutely butchered your name too. Thank you for becoming a member.
And Ching Lee is winning, and he wasn't even there to compete in the pistol competition.
Wait, he also won that one?
Shooting different targets, his pistol blows up in his hand because one of the rounds that he had too much black powder in it from the factory. It blew up his gun and messed up his hand. Not giving a shit, turns around to his buddies watching. Somebody throw me a pistol. He grabs it, catches it with his left hand, finishes the round with his non-dominant hand, and goes on to win the pistol competition as well, earning
You know, normally you have one incident of things with black powder blowing up in your face, not literally in your lifetime, and it's bad enough. The guy had it twice, ignored it, went on to win with his offhand. What the, oh God, man.
2 gold medals, being the only American to do it. So after that, he goes back to Annapolis. He's got both of his gold medals. He's basically the Kevin Gates of gold medals.
Who? I don't know sports, so if that's a famous person, I'm going to completely miss it.
If you will, and it's time to graduate. Now, bad news, he has to take a physical first, and after going all the way through Annapolis schooling, finishing the program, and just winning 2 gold medals in a national shooting competition.
And fucking up his hand and his eyes, so yeah, there's that.
And they decide you're not qualified to actually join the Navy because, well, your vision's not good enough, despite the fact that you just scored a bullseye at 1,000 yards last week. So at this point, Ching Lee does exactly what every other badass with bad eyesight would do, and he...
Please don't say it was make a threat. Please don't say it was... Oh, he probably wouldn't make it. He probably actually just... The guy has access to black powder. I think we all know where this is going. Oh, no. Also being told from Bill, fun fact, Fat Electrician is friends with Brandon, a Texan YouTuber who still makes videos while also running an AK factory. Yeah, hey, sure, why not?
Cheats on that fucking eye exam and makes his way into the Navy.
Yes!
Now, as an officer in training, he gets shuffled around to a bunch of different ships to get a bunch of different experiences, figure out what he likes doing, figure out what he's good at, get him exposed to everything. That's how this is supposed to go. During that time, he actually publishes his first ever article, and it's about the proper way of shooting a pistol. It gets published in the Naval magazine, and he actually signs his signature at the bottom with a Chinese symbol again. Now, the reason I bring
Oh, someone probably freaked out when they saw the Chinese symbol in Navy literature.
this up is because I like the quote that he actually put in this magazine.
What?
And that was, focus on acquiring accuracy before you try to acquire speed, which is eerily similar to the famous quote from also famous gunslinger.
Aim twice, shoot once? Nah, that's something completely different.
Wyatt Earp, fast is fine, but accuracy is final. You gotta learn how to be slow in a hurry. My point being...
Okay, one, even I know about Wyatt Earp too. Good quote. It applies to a lot more than just shooting too.
Game recognized game, they're both onto something, and you should probably write that shit down. Now, the young Lee finally makes his way onto the USS New Hampshire, and that is when the occupation of Veracruz happens. Alright, super brief, oversimplified version of what's happening right now. It is 1914, and Mexico is having a revolution, and the new Mexican government is not a huge fan of the United States of America. Because of that, the Tampico affair ends up happening, which is the Mexican government basically captures and detains a bunch of American sailors for a little while. It's a big diplomatic nightmare between Mexico and the United States. Because of that, the president at the time, Woodrow Wilson, decides that he's going to put an embargo on.
Oh yeah, was this the Mexican-American? No, I think the Mexican-American War was before this. Also, according to Kralik, China and US were friendly at the time because it's pre-World War I, pre-Communist Revolution. So it's probably when it was more allied. Allied is doing a lot of covering right there with Britain, so it's probably closer to us then. Unless I'm misremembering the time period, which is entirely possible.
And he's not going to let any guns into the country because he's scared that they're going to use them against America. And in April of 1914, Mexico gets a huge shipment of firearms despite...
Huh. If I had a nickel every time there was a story about people in America being afraid of guns in Mexico being used against Americans, and then an American sends more guns to Mexico, I'd have 2 nickels.
Fight the embargo, ipso facto, Woodrow Wilson sends in the Navy and the Marines to go get those weapons back. Now bear in mind, this is 1914. There's no Higgins boats, there's no amphibious landing vehicles, nobody's doing D-Day type shit, so it's literally just a bunch of Navy and Marine dudes getting driven ashore in whaling boats, hopping out and going to find these guns.
Wait, whaling boats? Isn't a whaling boat literally a mast and sail style boat? Or am I thinking Moby Dick? Yeah, so probably not what actually that looks like.
Yes, because the president said so. So, since, you know, America's basically invading Mexico, some of the Mexicans...
Oh, it's a whaling boat in the sense of it's the boat that would leave a ship that was whaling. Oh, it was literally just giant rafts.
Get pretty pissed off, obviously, so they start shooting at the Americans. Which, you know, not super happy about it, but I understand the sentiment. I would do the same thing if I were in their shoes. Now, unfortunately for them, the downside of shooting at people is they're probably going to shoot back, you know, assuming they have guns, which... America always does. Now, somewhere along the line, Lee's entire unit gets pinned down by these enemy snipers that are up on top of roofs and inside of windows and high buildings, basically shooting at guys lower on the ground, and nobody's able to shoot these guys back, and everybody...
Is this guy just going to go full-on Master Chief for a second? Because that seems what the lead-up is going to happen.
He's just pinned down where they're at. So, Lee... remembering, like, oh, shit, I'm the main character with bad eyesight, I got this, grabs his gun and just walks out in the middle of the street corner in broad fucking daylight with no cover whatsoever, and he just sits there with his gun. Sure enough, after a couple of seconds, somebody finally shoots at him, but they miss. And now Lee saw where they're at, and Lee shoots back, and remember, Ching Lee doesn't miss. And then he continues to sit there.
Oh my god! He used himself as bait? Nope. Apparently I was right. We're getting some damn big hero moments. I know this big damn hero, but still. Damn big blind hero moment.
And somebody shoots at him, and they miss. And Lee shoots back, and Lee don't miss. And this goes on for a while, pretty much until they quit shooting at Lee, presumably because there was none of them left.
You got to imagine what his squad is just thinking right here. It's like, no, he's gonna die. Oh. I would love to see the memoirs of people just going like, well, that happened.
Just about this later in life, the only thing Lee would say was, quote, yeah, I think I got a couple of them. Of all the men that were there and actually saw it, many of them had a much less modest version of this story to tell, with some of them claiming as many as 12 men were dispatched by Lee, all the while he was giving them the first chance to shoot at him. Then later, during this Veracruz side quest, Lee is also credited again with saving a man's life by running through gunfire to get him and provide medical attention. The man is literally Clint Eastwood.
No, I don't think Clint Eastwood ever pulled off this many stunts, even in the movies.
Eastwood, except it's 1914 and he's real.
And also better at it.
You know, you're gonna look awfully silly with that knife sticking up your ass. You still here? No.
Now, because of the bravery he...
Okay, that's a good clip. Oh, man. Ooh. Oh, he's got a bunch of... Okay, I want to pull this up because that's cute. So we just got a corgi sent from Kurigari. 1, sorry for butchering your name. 2, hey, corgi. Nice.
displayed at Veracruz, he's put up for promotion by his leadership, and he gets denied because his vision is too bad. And at this point, his entire chain of command is basically writing letters of recommendation, essentially yelling at the entire medical, bureaucratic side of the Navy that's denying him that they're insane because this guy's awesome. Seriously, he gets like 20 letters of recommendation from high-ranking officers, including the skipper of his current vessel, the USS New Hampshire. And
oh yeah, I forgot. He was a Marine. No, he wasn't even a Marine. He was just in the Navy at this time. Oh, geez.
in that letter, he says something along the lines of, I saw Lee crumple a man from 800 yards with iron sights at Veracruz. He can see just fine. So his
either that or the guy just broke it. He's a mage, man. Oh, God.
promotion gets taken into consideration for an extended period of time, and because of that, he gets taken off sea duty and gets sent basically to the middle of the country, and he is working for the U.S. Navy, going to different factories and figuring out what these factories need to do to be able to better manufacture stuff for the U.S. Navy. During this time, he meets his wife in Oskaloosa, Iowa. Then America enters
Iowa? I'm sorry. No, I need to literally ask about this, but why is the Navy in Iowa? Iron sight manufacturers. He's probably looking at the development of the weapons. You know, that's never where I thought this was going to go. Granted, I thought a guy walking to the middle of the street in an open gunfight and pulling out some big main character energy is not what I was expecting either, because that's something like, there are fantasy novels with less believable things, and that is just up there. So, sure, a Navy man in Iowa. It's not even in the top 10 of this video.
World War I, and he gets sent over to Europe, although he does not get attached to a combat vessel, so he never actually sees combat. After World War I, Lee would go on to compete in the 1920 Olympics, where he would actually win 7 medals, 5 gold, 1 silver, 1 bronze, which would turn out to be the record for the most medals won by any one person at any one Olympic Games, and that
Until when? Or is that still the record? Also, just a quick crock. This guy in general is, how is he real? Yeah. Also, Magtar, Switzerland has a navy. I'm not misreading that, right? Is it like just for a river? Or do they just have a really large pond I'm not aware of?
record would stand until 1980. Okay, just so we're on the same page,
long.
dude just won 5 gold Olympic medals for sharpshooting, and he's having trouble getting promoted because he has bad eyesight. Anyways, for the rest of the 1920s, Lee spends pretty much the entire time working on different destroyers, just working his way up the ranks, becoming a bigger and better leader. Now, about his style of leadership, everybody absolutely loves this guy that works with him because he has this way where he just teaches people what they need to do, and if they're not good at it, he gets them good at it, and then he just lets them do their job. He doesn't
Are managers allowed to do that? I thought their entire thing was you ask someone to do something you never told them how to do without telling them they have to do it, and then can complain about, oh, this is revolutionary. I wish more people knew about this. I'm not sure no one ever will.
try to micromanage them. He's not up everybody's ass.
Also, I'm just going to pull up Croc's statement because it is very much a thing. The quote you're looking for is the difference between reality and fiction is fiction needs to make sense. I am very aware of this quote, and it is very accurate.
He just wants to get people where they need to be so they have the skills they need so that they can do their job, and then he goes and dicks off so he can go do target practice and build traps to kill rats because that was like his new hobby. That was seriously what he was known for, building elaborate mouse traps on destroyers. He had ones that were like air guns rigged up to trip wires that would shoot rats, which is the most American shit I've ever heard of.
Yes, also, he literally built Rube Goldberg death traps for mice and rats on a ship that he may or may not be in command of. You never want to walk in on this guy during his fun time because you'll probably get shot.
Of my entire life. There was another one that was really popular where he had a little miniature guillotine that he had electrically rigged up to a push button on his desk, and all the boys would sit there and play a game. When the rat would run across it, they would try to hit the button just in time to cut the rat in half. And then like whenever there was anything to shoot at from the ship, he had his own private stash of guns in his quarters, and he would run out and there'd be these like glass balls from abandoned fishing nets that would be floating in the ocean, and he'd run out and shoot at them from the deck, and he'd invite the Marines to come out and shoot with him over the PA system, and he was actually out there teaching the Marines how to become better shots. Everybody
You know what? I'm just going to say it because I got family in there. Wow. Can you imagine Marines learning without having to eat a crayon first? Okay, now that I've absolutely and utterly made sure that my father-in-law is going to find out about this, let's move on.
Absolutely love this guy. So that goes on until about 1930, and then he finally makes his way back onto battleships and heavy cruisers, at which point he gets absolutely obsessed with gunnery. He wants to shoot the big guns better than anybody ever has. He actually,
To be completely fair, completely justifiable. The guy's obsessed with shooting, and now he has the biggest shooting. Yeah, this is like autism level of shooting love, but put in the right place.
He ends up writing a paper that later on got published talking about how battleships need to take into consideration the curvature of the Earth when they're gathering targeting data, and he develops the calculations for the battleships to do that. He's
Okay, one, goddamn, two, flat earthers must hate this guy. I approve.
literally teaching people how to treat a battleship the way a sniper treats a gun, and it's highly effective. Because after publishing that paper, another battleship commander actually took that data and started implementing it, and his battleship won most accurate ship for the next 3 years in a row, and he said it was all due to Lee's calculations. Okay, if you're not catching on, Lee is actually treating his naval career the same way he treated his academic career. He's not interested in the normal coursework of like leading and micromanaging a bunch of sailors. He wants to get
Yep. Yeah, that's more leadership.
everybody where they need to be. He wants to get through his work as fast as he can so that he can go do stuff that interests him, like pioneering new ways to be accurate with gunnery. Because of this, he develops a reputation as a problem solver. So, late 1930s, they send him over to Washington, D.C., and his orders are
Unironically, the most unbelievable thing I've heard so far is that they have a guy who's not interested in the normal bullshit of leadership, and it was recognized and not immediately drummed out of the Navy. Crazy, I know.
basically get everybody ready for war because we know it's coming. Okay, now this is probably the least coolest but most important part of the entire story. This man essentially got sent to Washington, D.C. to go toe-to-toe against the United States Navy's biggest nemesis, the Bureau of Ordnance.
Are we sure it's just the Navy's biggest nemesis? Because it seems like it was officially on the side of Japan in the Pacific War. Again, I remember we did the Dracleaf video, and it showed that there were so many times where either the torpedoes, the Mark 14s, would blow up and take out the sub shooting it, or they would plink off of the ships they were shooting and do nothing. At some point, unironically, getting out and throwing a rock might at least hit someone and be more valuable because of it.
Bitch, God! Michael. You're very helpful, aren't you? You try to help everybody. Do you want to play another game?
Okay, if you don't know, the Bureau of Ordnance is the bureaucratic...
Also, I don't know The Office that well. I have no idea what that scene is. I'm assuming it's dumb, though.
nightmare that does nothing but...
Also, Siren, why are you saying that was just the tip of the iceberg? Oh, I'm not going to like finding out what the rest of that iceberg is. Oh, no. Oh, no. Also, Kryn, he lived before World War II. It was a different time. Yeah. Oh, this would have been during the 30s, too. And the 40s. So probably during the Depression.
Slow down and halt any progress the U.S. Navy tries to make at literally anything ever. For example, if you remember like a month ago when I made the USS Parchi video with Lawson Red Ramage and he was shooting torpedoes at all these Japanese ships, but the torpedoes would hit and then not blow up because they were duds, because it's a known fact that the Mark 14 torpedo fucking sucked, and he complained to the chain of command, and the chain of command told him, too bad, you just suck with torpedoes, the torpedoes are fine. That was the Bureau of Ordnance. So basically the chain of command has sent Lee to Washington, D.C. to go toe-to-toe with these guys because they know that Lee doesn't have the time.
Did he actually just shoot them? Like, I'm not even joking about this. I'm wondering completely honestly, did he just shoot them? And everyone else said, oh, wait, there was a gunshot. We didn't hear a gunshot. Nothing happened. He was always like that. Because I'm kind of wondering, and not going to be surprised if the answer is yes, that is what happened.
Or the temperament to put up with their bureaucratic bullshit, and they're absolutely correct because Willis Lee is about to turn into a wood chipper for red tape. So Lee shows up and he starts learning and finding out about all these fancy new toys the Navy has that are just being held up by bureaucratic nonsense. For example, I don't know, fucking radars. Lee, being the forward thinker that he is, he's like, you can put a screen in my office that tells me where the enemy is so that I can shoot them with my big ass guns without even having to see them. Yeah, put that on every fucking ship in the Navy. What's wrong with you? But don't worry, because the Bureau of Ordnance and their infinite fucking wisdom doesn't seem to agree with Lee, and they don't think they're going to be that big of a deal, and they...
How? Maybe it's just because I've played video games. The idea of seeing your enemy when they don't see you seems like an advantage. I honestly wonder, like, did someone face jail time for the weaponized incompetence here? Or is it one of the people in charge had interests outside of the purview, like probably contracts somewhere and they were involved in, and they just decided to fuck around. It seems like I almost hope it's like actually just legit corruption, because the level of incompetence here is one of those, how did you get promoted levels.
They just want to put them on some ships and they don't want to waste.
Although, in all honesty, that doesn't seem too odd for someone that incompetent to be promoted, because they probably just said the right things to the right people.
All their money on radars because they're dumb, apparently. But they know Lee's not going to take no for an answer, so they tell Lee that they can't get any more radars due to manufacturing shortages, to which Lee immediately goes, fine, then I'll buy them from Britain. Magically, the Bureau of Ordnance found all the radars he could possibly need. Imagine that. Okay, next order of business, American submarines. Their biggest
I wonder if that's why there was actually requirements not to buy things for outside then.
weakness is having purified water, because they can't purify water fast enough for how quickly they consume it, because the crew needs water and the batteries in
Isn't that just basic electrolysis? I have no idea how that actually works.
the submarines at this point in time also eat a ton of water. Luckily, there's
Really?
a new evap system that's going to allow them to have way more purified water, and it's going to be great. Unfortunately, it's held up in bureaucratic red tape. Okay, like they're done, they've been manufactured, they're ready, but the government wants to run more tests on them, even though everybody in the Navy's like, no, they fucking work. They're just not letting us use them. So Lee just walks in, issues the order to install them, and if anybody has a problem, they can blame him. So Lee's just getting shit.
Yeah, shit, that's a good boss for you, man. Because the easiest way to do something is to just do it and don't ask for forgiveness later and shoot the guy who says, what the fuck are you doing? Usually the last part's kind of odd.
Done. He's checking things off. Now, at this point in time, whenever you're doing a bunch of paperwork for the Navy, there's like a status box where you hit it with a rubber stamp to tell everybody how important this paper needs to get through the bureaucratic process. Now, there's 3 statuses. There's routine, priority, and urgent. Obviously, in that order, urgent is like, we need to get this done as quickly as possible. Now, everything Lee marked was urgent. He didn't give a shit. He needed his shit done right now, because that's just the type of guy he is. But unfortunately, they were still just not getting it done fast enough to his liking. So he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna get my own rubber stamp made that said frantic. So then, whenever anybody got
Seriously? Oh, I love this. Like, this guy's already big main character energy. I'm more wondering, how has no one ever made a movie about this guy? Because people would probably see this and go, oh, I don't like this guy because he actually bucks the insert random bullshit here. It probably would actually piss people off. Also, ooh, comment 1, thank you too. God damn. I just remembered about something I've been meaning to recommend to you, but to react to, but I kept forgetting. I do that often. It's a series on YouTube called Me, Myself, and Die, the channel of the same name. The episodes are usually roughly half an hour to 40 minutes long. Yeah, sure, I'll check it out. 1 sec. Just going to pull this up on the side. Here we go. YouTube's open.
Did he just tell you to
Okay. Yeah, I have it up on the side. And the channel is up.
Lee's documentation for the
Me, Myself, and Die. I'm going to put this over here so it's in the list for what'll probably end up being Tuesday at this point. But yeah, we have it in. Actually, it'll be right before Noah. Yep. Okay, here we go. All right. But yeah, again, comment. Thank you very much. I was looking at the wrong camera, I just realized. Oops. Me making mistakes. That never happens. Also, Tutor, people these days would crucify anyone who made a movie about this guy. Yeah. Which is why, who knows, maybe we can get Markiplier on it. I mean, he kind of looks like a guy already.
The first time in their entire naval career, there's a new word stamped there in red ink that sounds more important than urgent. So everybody's just like, oh shit, we're doing this first. And then Lee just uses this to...
I'm sorry, that actually worked? I thought people were like, oh, it's Lee again. No, apparently it worked.
Keep on powering through to get more and more shit done. Next thing is to get a schoolhouse stood up for the U.S. Navy that teaches sailors how to read aerial reconnaissance pictures, because that's going to be huge in an upcoming war, because they're going to need pictures to show where all the reefs...
Wait. They didn't have that already. Like, they didn't teach people how to actually look and understand what they're looking at. So what were they doing prior to this? Like, we know a guy who might know something about ships and he maybe knows what the things in the ocean are. Or did they just like go to old sea salt sailors who just like, yeah, this is where everything is. But they never actually looked at anything. They probably didn't look at new data. They just went off what already was there and reported by other ships that were out there. Oh, yeah, that'd probably be. And also planes were relatively new at this point. So they're not new, but very much within the last 50 years new, which is still a thing.
And all the atolls are, and they're going to have to be able to read those pictures accurately to get proper intel. So at first, the chain of command is like, okay, well, we'll get Hollywood involved. They know things about like cameras and shit. That's the right answer.
You know, there's a lot of things I was expecting. Getting Hollywood involved as the first thing they say was not one of them. Also, comment. One thing I find cool about the Me, Myself, and Die was the voice actor for Rocket Raccoon in the cartoons also voiced Palpatine in Lego Star Wars movies. Or in the games. Palpatine was a raccoon. There are so many things about what I just said that don't make sense. It also kind of makes sense. Huh. Also, Siren, remember planes were short range in World War I and II? And World War II was starting to get long range. Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Right? And Lee...
Which is probably why Pearl Harbor and what later happened in the naval fights was such a big deal, because they could actually, you know, do more than just a hop, a skip, and a jump.
A couple of other officers that actually have good ideas are like, no, why don't we just go over to Britain and ask them to help us? We'll send a couple of guys over, get them trained by them, because they already do this really well, and we're on the same team. It would be great. Why wouldn't you do that? We can share information with them. And
ooh. Oh, see, this is new information. How old is this video? 2 years ago? I don't know when this came out, but the entire America being on the same team thing, apparently Britain was fucking around a lot in the background. And this is only recently revealed, as in it got declassified after World War II, to show that they were actively trying to promote Nazis traveling to Argentina explicitly to destabilize America's control. It failed, but they were trying to actually fuck around like that. Yeah. So if that's the one thing that's come out, there's probably other instances of them going, are they though? Are they? I mean, it's dumb all the way through. It's literally just everyone at the table is a child in military dress, but yeah, sure. Why not?
Vice versa, and we all get better together, hooray. At which point the US Naval Research Laboratory is like, no, absolutely not, because the United States Navy is way better than the British Navy, and we know that because we conducted a study that we verified ourselves.
And I'm assuming they did that because their bonuses and or funding was based on it. I'm not even joking about that last one. That's actually not even that weird. It's like, we have to show that we're worth funding. So we studied ourselves to say we're worth funding, which is an incontrovertible study showing we're worth funding. So you should fund us, which you did, which is why we did the study. Pay us more money for the next one. Also, we're charging you it. Thanks for paying for the study to show we need to be paid more.
Yeah. Okay, now in hindsight, I think we can all agree that's dumb, and that is why Lee ended up sending a guy over there anyways for any bullshit-ass excuse that he could find, and then ended up extending his orders every time they ran short, so he was just over there soaking up as much information and training as humanly possible, and that...
So they had an unofficial official representative. Yeah, sure, I guess that makes sense. Also, Croc, wait till you hear about the British higher-ups, which somehow make the boo... I'm sorry, make the boo look good. Ow. Like, they are literally too dumb to function in fiction because no one would believe this level of incompetence would happen. Like, this is 40K is unrealistic because the administratum is sometimes like this. Sometimes. Frequently. And that's kind of like, okay, yeah, but they can't be that dumb. And then there's this. How does it get worse? You know what? No, actually, forget I ever asked this. I might get an answer. I don't think I want the answer. Oh, God, let's just move on.
guy would actually come back and found the naval school for being able to read aerial photography. Okay, so that's going on. Lee just keeps charging, tackling more issues. Next thing on the docket, the Mark 53, aka the proximity fuse.
What?
Okay, I cannot stress to you how important this one actually is. This is one of the most important developments in World War II, is the proximity fuse. Okay, it is basically the new type of anti-aircraft ammunition. Your only options prior to this were like shooting basically birdshot up at planes and hoping you fucking hit them, shooting 50,
which I think is actually something that people of all places have thought about using in space combat. The concept of, if everything is filled with shit, you're not getting closer. Which, I mean, admittedly is not wrong, but dodging is easy. If you know the trajectory, you just know where not to be. Also, Croc, for context, these shells change average amount of shells to shoot down planes from plus or minus 5,000 to plus or minus 5. Yeah, that would do it. Also, can you want me to look up the Britain home defense? No. Oh, God, no. No. I don't think I can handle that today, man. Oh, God.
cows up at planes, hoping you hit them. Literally trying to hit a plane with a bullet.
Was that guy on a bike?
Fucking hit him. Shooting 50 cows up at planes, hoping you hit them. Literally.
Oh, no, he's stamping on something. Okay. I don't know how artillery works, apparently.
Trying to hit a plane with a bullet. Or you had mechanically timed ammunition where you were shooting it and it had a timer and then it would blow up in midair and you're just hoping that a plane happens.
Scattershot, and that's why when you see a lot of World War II videos, it's explosions going off all around them because they're not actually dodging it. They're just hoping not to be in the right place. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Also, to quote Taryn, AoE is no joke. Yeah, area denial, man.
Across at that exact moment and everything works out. You're basically playing the lottery with all of them.
Also, unironically, what are the chances that one of the later things that's going to come up is Lee just shot a plane out of the sky? Like, look at me. Look at me. I'm not joking. I fully expect to hear this. I fully expect to hear he's really like, okay, this is how a rifle should take out planes and anti-aircraft. And just happens to hit the plane. Whether the bullet doesn't have damage to do anything, I don't know. But will they find the bullet in the plane? I fully expect to hear he did this at some point at this rate.
Until the Mark 53 proximity fuse came out. Okay, it's a little more complicated than this, but it basically has its own tiny little miniature Doppler radar inside of it, and when it's flying through the air, that Doppler radar is emitting signals, and it's reading anything bouncing back at it. And once something gets close to this ammunition, it starts sending the signals back, and when it gets close enough, and those signals come back frequently enough, it knows that it's near a plane in midair, and it just blows up on its own when it gets...
Because if it's close enough to get that signal, it's close enough to do enough damage to matter. Yeah, that would do it. Also, according to Saren, the Boo were capitalists, the British were nobility and capitalists. Oh, okay, never mind. Yeah. Yeah, that would do it. Also, Croc, have I ever seen the animated tutorials on how to shoot down planes from the 40s? They're great. I might check that out, but also not right now, because that seems like it would be way too terrifying compared to some of the things that have just been said about the British Boo, apparently.
Near enough to the plane. Okay, it's the first type of ammunition that actually knows where the plane is and blows up at the right fucking time. It's a big deal. So naturally, the Bureau of Ordnance is like, wow, this thing's incredible. This is a total game changer. We're gonna go ahead and get in the way for no fucking reason. You wanna know what they say? I'm assuming,
because people mention capitalist, the people in the Boo probably had investments other than what was needed.
Tell you, they say that you're not gonna be allowed to use that new ammunition until it has a 100% reliability rating. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say that again, but slower. The Bureau of Ordnance said that you're not allowed to use this new ammunition until it is 100% reliable. Okay,
they literally were just corrupt, weren't they? Like, this sounds like literal just corruption of, we don't invest in this manufacturer, so we're not going to allow it. We're not going to say that out loud. Okay.
Understand how fucking stupid that is. You know what's 100% reliable? Nothing. Nothing is 100% reliable. Fucking condoms don't even have 100% reliability, right?
Considering how many people I've seen try and provide them for free by tacking them through the center of the condom to a wall for people to take. Yeah. If you're using it, good. Just don't be that idiot.
I want to get technical. Fucking abstinence isn't even 100% reliable because Jesus was a thing, okay?
I'm pregnant.
From my finger?
No, you don't understand. God has blessed me with his child.
You banged Kevin God from South Nazareth?
You want to know how smart and forward...
Oh, God damn it. I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting to laugh at a Family Guy reference of all things. With all the dumb things here, and somehow Family Guy looks like the smart show by comparison. Oh God, when Peter Griffin starts looking like the smart character by comparison to IRL examples. This is definitely a video of the most video that we've ever videoed.
Thinking Ching Li is, it's like 1939, and he already knew that the future of naval warfare was going to be all about the carriers, and he's 100% right, but he knew at this point in time, okay, because they came and they wanted to build this class of American heavy cruisers. It was going to be the Alaska class. They made 2 of them, but they wanted to make like fucking 10 of them. And Lee came in and was like, no, those are dumb. You shouldn't have made the first 2. Take all those resources, all that money, all that everything, build more fucking aircraft carriers. He was very...
Did he just write frantic and people listen because they didn't realize they just didn't keep up? Or they didn't realize it wasn't because they didn't keep up, it's because they just didn't have this actual classification? Yeah.
Adamant about it from the very start, and he ended up being right, and that's exactly what the Navy did, and it had a humongous impact on World War II. Okay, so bearing in mind that he knows that the future of naval power is going to be all based off of carriers and planes, he goes and adopts a strategy that every American ship, we're done with these like pretty observation decks and shit. If there's room on the deck, we're putting anti-aircraft guns. Every American ship is going to look like a fucking porcupine covered with 40mm Bofors and 20mm Oerlikons. Okay, the only problem, he needs all of the guns. This dude sits down and does some math and figures out how...
Can we just be honest here? Normally I'd say, oh God, you had to do math. That sounds horrible. But this is a guy who did math to calculate shooting over with military style, giant fuck off naval cannons, guns, whatever. But in the sharpshooter method, how to do that. Publish the papers. And now he's being given the job of, okay, so I'm a gun nut and I need to get more guns. Oh, happy day. This is like telling a fat guy to go into a buffet and figure out how many times he can go in here for free. I'm not projecting or anything, but seriously, you know where I'm going with this.
How many 20mm Oerlikon, how many 40mm Bofors he needs to put on the decks of every ship in the U.S. Navy, and puts in a purchase order for it, and it gets kicked back because they're like, well, we're not going to put all these on the decks of the ships because, you know, we just don't think that we need that much. And Lee is like, cool, didn't ask for permission to put them on the decks. I just asked to order the guns. To which they're like, shit, he has the authority to do that. And they stamped his thing approved and send it back to him, and he gets to order the guns. Then he whips out...
Because he didn't actually say where they're going, he's just buying the guns. Oh my God, I love this. It's like the best thing you can do is just ignore the dumbasses.
The old eraser because he filled out the last half of the work order in pen, and after it says order guns full stop, he erases the full stop and then writes down and install them on every ship in the Navy. Full stop. And then that's what he does. And then every time a ship...
I'm sorry, I can't believe that worked. Oh God, that actually worked. Oh, okay. That is a thing. Oh God. Sorry, Croc 1, thank you 2. Frick it, I'm adding it so one day in the next half a year you stumble on the list, and remember, I said fat electrician, hobo, the guy who faced British oh no. Is this what I think it is? Oh no.
Yep, comes back in.
Oh, I'm in danger, aren't I? Ooh, you give call first. Neat. Percy Hobo
When I started
Hobart.
this video...
Okay, it's in. I'm just going to add to the list as these come in now, just because we can add them in order. Oh, God. I mean, he got permission, and then he just changed the permission. He altered the deal. Pray he doesn't do it again. Oh, my God.
Into port, it's just like an
Also,
army of naval dudes come
Croc.
on and just put anti-aircraft guns on everything, everywhere. Then, December 7th, 1941, the attack on Pearl Harbor happens. At this point, everything changes. Admiral Ernest King, like top dog at the Navy at this point, looks over to Lee. He's like, this guy gets shit done. I need somebody to make sure that the rest of the Navy is taking this seriously.
Wait, the top dog in the Navy actually saw someone was helping and did this. Okay. Sure. I'm more surprised someone in charge would actually figure that out. Also, I'm going to pull this up. One, Sturg, thank you for being a member for 9 months. Goddamn. Yeah, we're definitely adding this in. Also, I'll just add this into the actual memberships that if you've been here for the messages, you can just get these as guaranteed videos or added to the list at least. Not guaranteed, but at least in here. Yeah. Also, there might be a limit count on how many words you can write on these membership messages. I don't actually know.
Seriously, so he promotes Lee to the Admiral of Fleet Readiness, and it is now Lee's job to make sure that the entire U.S. Navy is, like, ready for war and treating this how they need to be treating this. And Ching Lee's immediate concern is security, because they're way too lax, okay? They're not even checking IDs, they're just letting people through, whatever. I mean, the orders have changed, like, they've been told, hey, button this shit up, there's gonna be spies coming, like, whatever, but doesn't mean they're actually gonna do it. So, Lee's gonna get to the bottom of that. First things first, remember, prankster at heart. He goes, gets a new military ID made, except this one has a picture of Hitler on it. He then proceeds to go and see how many maximum security naval institutions that he can get into with a US Navy ID with a picture of fucking Hitler on it in World War II. And
yeah, because the best way to sneak into someplace is to be absolutely confident that you belong there. Because if you look like you're in the right place, people will assume you're in the right place.
Guess how many he gets into?
All of them?
All of them.
Call
Nobody stops him. Like, it's so ridiculous. He's like, I don't think I look like Hitler, do I? I mean, I guess we're both dudes.
I mean, he has a hair, he has a chin, and the ears. Like, he has one on each side. It's a striking resemblance.
Fuck it, we're just gonna have to get more ridiculous. So he gets another ID made with the famous female actress Mae West on it, and he's like, well, I definitely don't look like her. Let's see how much shit I can get into now. And then he still gets into a bunch of places that he's not supposed to with this Mae West ID. So basically, he's chewing ass and getting everybody ready for the security level.
Is there just going to be something around there where it's like, I put a thing on there that says fake ID, nothing else on there, and it still works? Don't tell me that's actually what happens next. Don't tell me that's what happened next.
Required for World War II with espionage and spies and all kinds of shit. Like, he's doing full-on Ocean's 11 type shit. He's got subordinates dressing up as butlers, going into fancy hotels, stealing top secret documents from top government officials, holding them until they get reported as stolen just to see how long it takes, all kinds of crazy shit. So this goes great, and as a reward...
I'm honestly surprised no one in power who was humiliated by this guy just maybe dropped a dime on him from high orbit, because fuck that. I like, unironically, this sounds like the thing where there's so many dumb people they would work together to get rid of the smart one.
Admiral King makes Lee the new commander of all of America's fast battleships. So now Lee's back in the game. He goes and immediately starts training the entire crew of the USS Washington in gunnery and night combat, because he knows that the Japanese Navy has a big edge at night combat, or at least they did before radar. He goes and then masters the radar to the degree that he's probably the most knowledgeable person on these radars in the US Navy, except for the people that literally built them.
Please stand by. Fat Electrician.
Sorry, I ran out of time and I had to catch a flight, so we're finishing this video from Texas.
Yep. Yeah, can you imagine someone running out of time while recording? That would be a thing. That never happens. Yeah.
In my friend Eli's studio. Anyways, back to the story. Not only is he training all of his guys in nighttime combat, he also has to basically go back through and retrain his entire gunnery department, because he's not treating the USS Washington the same way every other battleship treats its guns. He's going through and treating each of the 9 guns on the USS Washington like it's its own individual sniper rifle. And while he's doing that, getting the guns more and more accurate, he comes to the...
So this is me not knowing about guns. How exactly does that function? Like, are we individually calibrating, or are they just kind of just generalized beforehand?
Realization that all the targeting data and the charts that came with the USS Washington from the manufacturer were wrong. They were off. They weren't accurate enough. So he goes to the Bureau of Ordnance again and is like, hey, your charts are...
I don't even know what they're about. Oh, they're the ones who made the charts. Of course they made the charts. They're the manufacturers who probably capitalist. Buy our shit. We don't care if it works.
Wrong. To which the Bureau of Ordnance is like, no, they're not. You're wrong. Except for the fact, obviously, Ching Lee doesn't miss. So he says, fuck it, and he redoes all of the charts and all of the targeting data himself. Over the course of the next couple months...
Please tell me he then charged them for every one he had to sell. And just did that. Oh, God. Also, I'm being told, Croc, it's related to an unsubscribed podcast. Oh, it's the guy whose shop he's at right now, or the studio. Yeah.
He gets his crew and the guns on the USS Washington so accurate that he ends up having a light cruiser from his task force go 10 miles away, and then he fires the guns towards that ship and has the ship call in and say how close it was to the actual target. And he can walk these shells right up to the wake of this light cruiser without...
I mean, on the one hand, if there's anyone else doing this, I'd be terrified. But can you imagine what the report about this was? So I was firing on my own guys intentionally, and they were fine with it. Oh God.
Actually touching it. Literally like putting an apple on top of your head and letting your buddy shoot at it with a bow and arrow, except he's doing it with battleships. So fast forward November 1942, the battle for Guadalcanal is going on, and the Japanese Navy is being sent to go bombard Henderson Field, which is an American airstrip that is instrumental to the war effort, and they can't let it get destroyed. So Lee and his task force get sent in to go defend it. And right out of the gate, this entire thing is a shit show. They're sending in Lee and the USS Washington and the USS South Dakota, the USS Washington's sister ship. Now, the real problem, they're sending in 4 destroyers with them, but these destroyers were picked for the sole purpose of they were there and they were the ones with the most fuel. They had
on the one hand, those are very, very important qualities, and I will not say anything bad about you have to actually be at the place to help, because if you're assigning someone who's on the other side of the world and you just got to wait for them, you're fucked. But on the other hand, having enough fuel and being there is not a high praise. It sounds like the bare minimum.
Ever worked with Lee. They didn't know how he operated. They did not really know what was going on, but
did he shape them up really fast, or did they just like, dude, that's not how we do things here?
But it just kind of happened. They all got lumped together and got sent out to go defend Henderson Field. So they're out there on patrol. They end up getting basically ambushed by a Japanese task force that opens fire on the destroyers. This task force has managed to hug one of these smaller islands to avoid being detected by radar, open fire on the 4 destroyers.
Because the landmass would probably... They weren't accurate enough probably at this time period to detect landmass difference from a ship if they're close enough. So it'd be just one giant landmass and the destroyer is close enough to probably count. How close to beaching themselves were they at this point?
Ended up sinking 3 of them and critically damaging the 3rd, at which point they start opening fire on the USS South Dakota, at which point Ching Lee sends a famous radio transmission. Stand aside, I'm coming through. This is Ching Lee. Now, this Japanese task force has a couple of destroyers. It also has the IJN Otago and the Takao, both of which are heavy cruisers. And they have their flagship, the IJN Kirishima, which was originally a battle cruiser, but in the 1930s, it got a bunch of upgrades in armor and firepower, having it reclassed as a battleship. This is now a battleship versus battleship fight. The Japanese...
Oh my God. So literally the sniper is going full on biggest gun he can find in a battle. Is he just going... This is the guy who literally stood in the middle of the street and sniped people who were shooting at him. Oh my God, it's actually getting crazier.
Task force is continuing to target the South Dakota. Lee sneaks around the backside, clears the South Dakota, turns all 9 of his guns, and opens fire directly at their flagship, the Kirishima. And with the first salvo, he hits, and then he keeps hitting, and he hits more, and he's hitting the enemy so hard, so fast, so accurately, they don't even start returning fire. And within the span of 5 minutes...
So this wasn't even just a ship that got hit a few times, even tracking. This is a ship that they just kept wailing on after its entire armor wasn't enough because it kept them from shooting. This is an up-armored ship on top of that. Oh my God.
He manages to hit the Kirishima with 20 main battery hits and 24 hits from his secondary 5-inch guns. Okay, each one of those shells is 16 inches in diameter and weighs 1,700 pounds. Willis Ching Lee just bitch slapped the Kirishima with a goddamn car dealership in 5 minutes. And just so we're on the same page, the Kirishima has now been reclassified twice. The Japanese upgraded it and reclassified it from a battle cruiser to
and I'm assuming the new one is honorary reef material.
A battleship, and Ching Lee has now just downgraded it from a battleship to a fucking coral reef, and he did it in 5 minutes. This is the last time in world history that a battleship sank another battleship in combat. Now, at this point, the USS South Dakota has had so many electrical problems that the guns are down and the radio's down. Lee has no way to communicate with the South Dakota, but he can tell that it's trying to pull away from the fight, and it's still getting attacked by the 2 Japanese heavy cruisers and the destroyers. So Lee, not knowing the status of the USS South Dakota, decides that he is the most able man in this fight and he needs to get...
I mean, he's not wrong. And I'm not talking about the ship itself. I mean, give him a gun. He could probably start sniping officers on the enemy ship. I'm not sure I'm joking about this. Is that actually what happens next? Is he literally just going to start sniping the enemy officers off? I can't see that. It just I did. No, I thought I was making a joke, but then I realized there's a very good chance this is literally what actually is about to happen.
Get all of their attention so that they can come fight him instead. So he opens fire on the heavy cruisers, trying to get their attention, which he gets. He then
is he accidentally going to sink them before he can get their attention because they just die without realizing it? Sure, why not?
Proceeds to go the opposite direction as the USS South Dakota so that they quit chasing it down and they chase him instead. So they're chasing him down, but here's the problem. They're chasing him. They're behind him. He can't turn the ship around to shoot at him with the big guns without getting shot in return, and he doesn't want to get his boat shot up because this isn't a boat, it's a goddamn precision instrument, okay? This is a giant fucking sniper rifle. I don't want to be taking shots. So he comes up with a better plan. You see, he hasn't just been working on the gunnery skills of the 9 16-inch guns on the USS Washington, he's also been doing it on all of the 5-inch guns as well, and those turrets can still...
Also, Croc, officers wouldn't be visible targets. Normally, I would agree, but with all the other bullshit this guy has pulled, I don't know. Maybe he just happens to see a con tower and decides to shoot it. I don't know why anyone would have a con tower where it's like more than just instrumental. Because I'm pretty sure most ships, I'm not sure at this time period, but I know at least later on, had secondary control actually inside the ship rather than the con tower that's on top.
Turn around and hit the enemy.
I'm thinking more of aircraft carriers, not battleships. I have no idea where that stuff is located.
And they are so accurate with their fire that Lee orders them to start targeting the searchlights on the other ships, and they start blowing all the lights out so they're not going to be able to see the USS Washington.
Can we all acknowledge how much of a flex this is? When the enemy is like, why aren't the lights on? And then someone has to be like, they shot them out. That's not one of those, we need to catch this guy. That's more of, if we catch this guy, we're dead. Oh, God.
At night. And then they start firing star clusters, which is just white phosphorus. The reason they do that is because, remember, the Japanese don't have radar. That's not how they're targeting the Washington. All their targeting has to be done optically. So now the Japanese guys are looking at...
They're getting all their night vision is completely destroyed at that point, if not flat out blinded.
Night, and there's white phosphorus burning as it's floating through the sky, and it's going to fuck up all of their optics, and they're not going to be able to hit the USS Washington. So Ching and the USS Washington do this and just lead the Japanese further and further away from the USS South Dakota.
And they're close to an island. Do they just try and beach them by getting too close without them seeing it?
Until he's confident that they're going to get away too, and then he just slips away into the night, virtually unscathed. He got hit a single time by a 5-inch gun, which is the equivalent to a grown-ass man getting hit with an airsoft gun. It's nothing. For this, Admiral Lee would be awarded the Distinguished Service Cross by Admiral Halsey, and when he received it, his crew demanded a speech. He turned around and simply said, and I quote, "You want it, I'll wear it," which is one of the coolest things I've ever heard a military leader say.
Dear God. Like, this guy should have run for president or something. Because, I mean, he probably wouldn't put up with the bullshit. Especially since this is coming off Teapot Dome only like maybe a decade prior to this, so... within the realm of possibility, that was within 10 to 30 years. Still sounds like a lot, but for anyone wondering, Teapot Dome was like, all the corruption. Yeah, I know, completely unrealistic.
Ever. For the rest of World War II, it was honestly pretty quiet for the USS Washington. They were involved in some shore bombardments, and they mostly just ran anti-aircraft operations for the aircraft carriers because it was a carrier-based war. Then by 1945, all of the Japanese battleships had been recommissioned into coral reefs, and there just wasn't any reason to have all the fast battleships around anymore. So they took Lee from the battleship, and they wanted to use his talents elsewhere because now the biggest threat to the US Navy was kamikazes, and they wanted Ching Lee to be working on the anti-aircraft measures to help prevent this. Unfortunately,
I don't like what it's about to be. There's an unfortunately. There isn't like he just happened to catch something. I'm not gonna like this.
Unfortunately, this story does not have a happy ending because as he made his way back to America to begin working on those anti-aircraft measures, on August 25th, 1945, he would suffer a massive heart attack that would kill him in a matter of minutes. So in conclusion, that is a story of Willis Ching Lee. He is one of the most important people in naval warfare history, and he gets nowhere near the credit that he deserves. And I would argue that he is absolutely the greatest gunslinger of all time. The definition of a gunslinger is somebody that carries a gun and knows how to use it, and I don't think there's ever been anybody on the planet better at that than Willis Ching Lee. Not only does this man carry a gun and know how to use it, he has a gun that carries him, and he knows how to use that one too.
And he trained everyone else to do the same thing, and it actually worked.
capable of hitting a bullseye with any caliber of gun, from a pistol to the 16-inch guns on a battleship. This man could do it. So thank you for watching. Shit. Eli doesn't have the same setup as me. I can't dramatically turn the lights off as I walk out.
Oh, I mean, on the one hand, yeah, we knew at the end it's going to be one of those. Yeah, there wasn't enough time left for having more crazy shit he pulled. On the other hand, dear God, man, everything I hear about this guy just gets crazier and crazier, followed by, and this is where it happened. Oh. The guy managed bureaucracy by just out bullshitting it, and it worked. And he kept getting results, so everyone above him was probably like, I see nothing. And it worked. That's so cool. Oh, there should be a movie about this guy because this is just so insane. No one would believe it otherwise. Hell, they probably don't even need to tell people it's based on a real story because no one would believe that. Oh, seriously, that is so incredibly epic. The ending sucks because it's history. That's how that kind of stuff goes. But still, you guys know the deal. There's a link below to the original video. Hit it up. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to now try and utterly forget that one of the recommendations we got during this video was probably going to give me absolute mental trauma because it's covering the British side of, oh God, why are they doing that? As opposed to the American side of the boo. Yeah, we're never thinking about this again until it comes up. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.